Tonight on Mad Facts with Pat, one of mankind's greatest discoveries, beer. That's right. If we go back to about the 4th or 5th millennium BCE, we have the first fermentation of barley and what will soon to be known as the great and all-powerful beer gods. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, let's get back to it. Beer was so important to the ancient Mesopotamians, they actually had mythologies about it. Beer had been given to people from the gods in order to satiate them, but also as a reward for all the work they had done on behalf of the gods. Like everything in the ancient world, good or bad, there had to be a god or goddess associated with it. In this case, it was good, and the goddess in charge of ancient beer in Mesopotamia was Ninkasi, a legendary daughter of one of the great kings of Uruk. Beer was a really important part of ancient Mesopotamian culture, so much so that it's depicted in numerous images and art, such as a cylinder seal in the Met collection dated to 26 to 2300 BCE, and you can clearly see in the next slide that people are actually drinking from long straws, and that's how in ancient Mesopotamia you actually drank your beer. The association of Uruk with the goddess of beer actually makes a lot of sense because some of the oldest inscriptions, in fact, one of the oldest dated to 3100 BCE, detailing the allotment of beer for a worker, actually originated in a cuneiform tablet from that city. Now, ancient Mesopotamian beer actually started with a malted barley, which, unlike modern beers like we drink today, they didn't actually have hops or they didn't use it. What they did as a sweetener was either use date syrup, kind of like maple syrup, but it's just a sweetener, or something like toasted or roasted grains to add a sweetener to it. But what you had with Mesopotamian beer was something that was much thicker, more soupy, and wouldn't pass too many people's modern taste buds. The ancient Mesopotamians were known for their beer. To live in ancient Mesopotamia meant you drank beer. And, I really don't have a problem with that. And when it comes to beer, everybody's got opinions. And when it comes to ancient Mesopotamian beer, academics, archaeologists, and others are debating on exactly how strong was beer. Some academics think it was weaker, others that have looked into these ancient formulas and trying to do some reconstruction of these recipes have thought maybe it's a little bit stronger. But ultimately, what we had was beer, but not beer that we really recognize today. And there were lots of problems with beer in the ancient world. There were problems with intoxication, over drinking, and maybe a little bit risque parts, like this picture coming up where a woman's drinking beer and a guy's, doing that. Now, it didn't take too long after the Mesopotamians invented beer that it started being exported and shared throughout the ancient Mediterranean. The next group that really liked their beer were the ancient Egyptians. And just like the Mesopotamians, they had a rich mythical tradition on how important beer actually was. In their tradition, the great and violent goddess Sekhmet, as she was attempting to destroy all the people of Egypt, actually got drunk on beer, passed out, and in effect, beer saved mankind. Now, in many ways, Egyptian beer was very similar to that we had seen in Mesopotamia. Beer, along with wine, were used as part of ritual drinking, both that offered to the gods and for a little bit of celebratory activity. Now, there are other places in the Mediterranean where beer wasn't as big a deal or wasn't as popular as wine, and we see that in Greece and in Italy, where wine was the preferred beverage, unlike beer in Mesopotamia and Egypt. But it doesn't take too long for another ancient people known as the Celts, living France, Germany, and Spain today, and even southern Britain. They loved beer. And around 800 BCE, we see the first German, or who are going to be the Germans, crafting beers as early as that period of time. So there you have it. beer has a rich tradition and history in the ancient Mediterranean and Near East. And so the next time you're sitting in your local bar having your favorite brew, don't just think about yourself. Think about those ancient Mesopotamians and what they did for you. And that's another mad fact with Pat. Oh, beer was a really important beer. Oh. No, I need you to get me beer. I need a beer. No, for my video. I'm not just telling you to get me a beer to get me a beer. I need it for my video.